Now that our abattoir has been cleared as the source of the contamination, does that mean we're resting on our laurels? No. We're obviously very concerned that Listeria is able to cause infection. Although poultry meat is a low-risk product, we want to take every opportunity that we can to mitigate that risk for the consumer. So we've implemented a whole host of new processes in our abattoirs to make sure that we're taking every step possible to reduce our risk profile. So some of these include additional washing steps. So if I can speak you through the process, directly after the bird is slaughtered and before the feathers are removed, we're putting the whole carcass through a rinse process to remove any soiling prior to going in the scald tank. Now, scalding helps to remove the feathers, and that process can get extremely contaminated from organisms on the bird, from fecal matter that are on the feathers, etc. So we want to make sure that we try and stop that from getting into our process. Thereafter, the birds are then plucked in line, so it's a series of machines that remove the feathers mechanically, and directly thereafter we have a second washing point. This washing point, we include an antimicrobial substance to ensure that the exterior of the carcass is properly sanitized prior to moving into the next stage of the process. So we chlorinate at that point with a chlorinated solution at 100 to 150 parts per million. Typically in your swimming pool you'd expect 70 to 80 parts per million. So we're going at double that, which is a fairly oxidative process to kill any bugs that may be on the outside of the bird. Thereafter, the bird would move into a evisceration process. That process is one of removing the intestinal content from the bird and any other organs that are inside the cavity, and by its very nature can be a contamination process on its own, specifically if there's ruptured intestine or anything in that mechanical removal process. So we've got two additional washing points in that process. So one directly after the intestinal pack has been removed, there's another chlorinated wash, and then the bird moves through a series of removing of glands in the neck area, etc. I won't bore you with the precise detail, but directly after that there's a machine that washes the carcass on the inside and the outside. This one is chlorinated with a calcium hypochlorite, which is also a chlorine derivative, and this then cleans the inside and the outside of the carcass if there's still any potential point of contamination. The birds thereafter would go into a chilling process, and because there's some manual handling between the mechanical removal and washing of the inside of the carcass and then rehanging into the chilling process, which is also an inline, there's an additional washing point. So we've covered 4 washing points at this stage, and those washing points are then all chlorinated. The bird then goes through a chilling process to drop it from a carcass temperature of around about 35 degrees right down to below 5 degrees. So that's important from a shelf life perspective, and if there is any remaining microbial growth, we would then retard that growth. Directly after chilling, there is a grading process, which then there's a visual grading and a weight grading process. That process is just visual appearance to see if there's any bruising or blemishes on the bird that would then make it not suitable for particular types of products. And directly after that handling process, there's a 5th carcass wash. Now, that carcass wash, we apply a parasitic type sanitizer, which is residual action based. So in technical terms, a chlorine type product is an oxidative process. A parasitic process is a different process or a different chemical regime, which then helps any particular bugs that were resistant to chlorine type sanitizers to be affected by the parasitic. So a 5-stage sanitation process literally in this country is unheard of, and internationally is unheard of. So we feel that we've taken ample precautions in terms of making sure that our microbial load has been reduced in the process. That is not the only things we're investigating. We're looking at an additive into the scalding solution, which then would lower the pH, which would then also affect specific pathogens like Listeria and Salmonella should they be resident. Many steps that have been implemented in the process to make sure that our products are safe to eat. irrespective of whether the consumer is going to end up with a cooking process or not. Does that mean that we'll be able to eliminate Listeria completely? That's probably impractical to expect because it's a live animal. When it comes to us and they live outside or they live in dirty environments, so very difficult to expect that it wouldn't be on the product. So our challenge as a business is take the steps necessary to make sure that the risk is mitigated, and then make sure that our environment that we process the product in is 100% sanitized. So to that end, we have a very intensive microbiological monitoring program. Every single day after the cleaning and sanitation processes, swabs are taken to send to laboratories to make sure that those areas are clean. We also have an instantaneous test, which is not pathogen specific, but does give us an instant result in terms of whether the environment's been cleaned. So that's based on DNA content. It's an ATP type test, which gives you a result in literally 5 minutes. So we can have a more instant response to the cleaning efficacy in our plant, and after that we can then validate what the results are. If there are any bugs that are picked up, what were those bugs and how can we address them? So the question is, do we find Listeria on products? Yes. Do we do anything about it? Absolutely. And in the environment, if we find it, there are detailed sanitation steps and processes that we follow to make sure that that is eliminated from our product.